Hello everyone, myself Atul, and in today's video we would be talking to Siddhant. Siddhant is working as a lead data scientist at a company called Simple. Simple is a fintech company, and today we'll be discussing about how did it reach there, what did it do, and what all skills do you require to become a successful data scientist. Make sure you watch this video till the end. There is a lot of learnings for all of you. And now let's get started. I would like you to tell our students about yourself. Who are you? What have you done? Your education and what are you doing right now?
Cool. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. I am working as a senior data scientist at Simple. I have 5 years of experience in data science. Right. So before getting into data science, I did my BTech from JIIT Noida. I passed out in 2019, and then straight after college, I've been working as a data scientist. I started my career in the gaming industry, right, and then moved to auto tech and now in fintech.
So, Siddhant, you can tell me कि आपने computer science से किया, then you moved into. I was seeing your profile. तो आप initially you were a data analyst, then you became a data scientist. तो वेरी जो जनरल ट्रेजेक्टरी होता है तो स्टूडेंट्स यूजुअली प्रेफर कि आई नीड टू गेट बिकम एन एसडीई कोडर बनना है, डेवलपर बनना है. तो व्हाई डिड यू चूज डेटा एनालिस्ट या ये वाला डोमेन?
So let me take a step back, right? Before getting into industry, when I was in college, so back in second year, right? So I took computer science. That is what I took in 2015, right? I had interest in programming, right? And parallelly, I also had interest in mathematics and reasoning, right? And back in 2016, so AI was booming. So college mein we used to hear ki AI is on the rise, people are solving interesting problems in AI, and AI had the intersection of both computer science and mathematics, right? Then I heard about coding ninjas in 2016 itself, right, where I heard that they would be teaching machine learning, and that was new thing in India, right? Not very few people in India were teaching AI, right, machine learning at that time. So I got in touch with Ankush sir. He guided me all the way that this particular domain is on the rise, and there would be job opportunities in the future, right? And it had also caught my attention earlier as well, when so I was following companies like Google, Microsoft, like, right? So they were building interesting products, and these products used machine learning, right?
Correct.
So my inclination towards machine learning was a mixture of couple of things. One was the guidance from Ankush sir. Second was the industry trend which was going around that time, right? And that's when I decided to take up a course in coding ninjas back in 2017 after my second year exams. So in the summer of 2017, I pursued this machine learning course where I got to know the in-depth of machine learning, right? So what I would say is try things. So let's say somebody is in first year or second year, they naturally won't be able to just figure out कि मुझे SD side जाना है या ML side जाना है.
Correct.
Because they don't have that much context around कि क्या करना चाहिए.
Absolutely.
So the natural thing is to explore, right? And the best way to explore is to start learning things, right? So let's say you spend 3 months learning maybe web development or app development, right? See where your interest goes. Start building projects around that, right? Then spend some time learning basics of ML. See if your interest goes into that, right? And then after second year, so 2 years is a good enough time to explore.
Correct.
And after second year, you can take a call कि मुझे SD side में interest ज़्यादा आ रहा है, ML side में interest ज़्यादा आ रहा है. Because usually the internship start from third year, right?
Right.
And that's where my also in the internship journey started. So I interned at Aon in after my third year, right, as an analyst. So yeah, so that's what the entire agenda should be.
I must say great journey. अभी जैसे अभी आपने बताया कि स्टूडेंट्स मस्ट एक्सप्लोर, ठीक है? तो एक्सप्लोरेशन जर्नी आपके लिए कैसा था फॉर यू? हाउ डिड इट लुक? हाउ डिड यू एक्सप्लोर? कैसे, व्हाट ऑल डिड यू स्टार्टेड फर्स्ट? सबसे पहले क्या किया, फिर क्या किया? एंड व्हेन डिड यू रियलाइज कि अच्छा, ये डेटा साइंस वाला या एनालिटिक्स वाला पार्ट इज मोर फॉर मी एंड नॉट एसडी वाला पार्ट?
Okay. So in the first year itself, I joined the robotics hub, right? वहाँ पे we used to build, I mean, robots which can maybe do certain things, right? So it involves certain amount of coding, right?
Right.
It also involves certain amount of hardware knowledge, right? So I learned those things. I pretty much enjoyed. Till that time, I was not aware about machine learning, right? But when I started exploring, talk to seniors, right, talk to people in the industry also, I had few connections. So people told me to explore certain things. So robotics was one thing which I explored. Then I also explored a little bit of web development, right?
Okay.
Using basic HTML, CSS, right, JavaScript. These all things I learned. I built a basic website also in my college, right? In the first year itself. So when I started exploring these things, I also came across machine learning, right? As I told you. So machine learning, the best part in machine learning was that it involved maths, right? And as I told you, I had
Maths.
deep interest in maths.
Okay.
That was the thing which
A side question, like how much did you score in your 12th in maths?
I scored 96.
You were actually good.
So I had interest in maths that I knew, and that's what provoked me to take computer science also.
Okay.
So yeah, but when I came to know that application of maths is machine learning, right? So that's where the interest ignited. That a lot of
Evolved, like knowing, getting to know कि आप मैथ का इन्वॉल्वमेंट इज वेरी मच इन मशीन लर्निंग. तो अगर अभी के स्टेज पे तो यू नो प्रॉब्ली नो अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स कि कहाँ पे क्या इन्वॉल्व होता है, कैसे कैसे होता है. बट आई एम इमेजिनिंग कि फर्स्ट ईयर का बच्चा हु इज वेरी नेसेंट इनटू ऑल ऑफ इट, तो कैसे गूगल, यूट्यूब या प्रोफेसर्स किससे बात करते थे जो आपको ये पता चलता था कि अच्छा यार मैथ का ज्यादा वर्क वुड बी इन मशीन लर्निंग? हाउ डिड यू, या सीनियर्स से बात होती थी? ये सब कैसे पता चलता?
So I would say it's a mixture of couple of things, right? So mostly seniors I would consult, people who were in third year, fourth year. So in our third year and fourth year curriculum, there are few subjects around machine
Okay.
in our college, right? So वहाँ पे when I talked to seniors, they told me कि you have to have certain background in maths to ace this subject, right? And I knew कि I have interest in maths, so I can deal with it, right? And also like when you start exploring, you tend to read certain blogs, right?
Right.
Let's say Google has launched some product. Now that product in depth, if you go and if you read the research paper or something, you won't understand the technical details much, right? If you're in first year or second year. But हाँ, आपको टॉपिक समझ में आ जाएगा कि ठीक है, certain fundamental concepts of calculus is used.
हाँ, right.
And you have studied calculus in 11th, 12th, right? So naturally, if you have interest in, let's say, calculus per se, so you would also gain that interest in machine learning, right? Because that is an application of certain maths concepts.
A lot of students are interested in machine learning. AI boom पे है, सबको करना है. तो is it that कि अगर किसी का मैथ इनिशियली या 12th तक अच्छा नहीं रहा है तो वो नहीं कर सकता मशीन लर्निंग, या वो कैसे कर सकता है?
So I would differ. अच्छा होना ना होना is a separate agenda, I feel.
Okay.
If you have interest in maths, right, and you have the right guidance,
Okay.
you would definitely gain an edge, right? So right guidance is the key. So I remember when I started learning machine learning from Ankush sir itself, he went into the concepts right from the basics, right? And see, mostly there are a lot of courses, lot of stuff on the internet, right? So you have to realize what or who you can really follow, who can get you to that next level, right?
Correct.
Who can take you from maybe a very beginner level or noob level stage to a advanced, fairly advanced level concepts, right? So I would say to be very cautious because there is a lot of information on the internet
Correct.
and you have to choose very wisely, right? So stick to those standard contents. Maybe if you are following things on YouTube, if you're learning from YouTube, try to follow certain professors who are teaching, right? If you are going out in the market, try to learn from industry experts or people who have been teaching this from a long time, right?
Okay.
So do not just go for superficial learning in machine learning because that won't take you too far.
एंड यस आई एग्री दिस पॉइंट ऑफ योर्स आल्सो, क्योंकि टाइम तो हमारे पास वही है, कॉलेज का लिमिटेड टाइम है, तो
Correct.
इतना सारा कंटेंट होने पे व्हाट इफ आई गेट टू एनरोल और आई गेट चूज अ चैनल जब मुझे 6 महीने बाद पता चल रहा है कि आई एम स्टिल वेयर आई स्टार्टेड, तो यू
Exactly.
हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल। एंड आई बिलीव वहां पे एज यू टोल्ड कि अच्छे प्रोफेसर्स या अच्छे गाइड्स अगर आपको मिल जाते हैं तो इट मेक्स योर जर्नी अ लिटिल इजियर टू सेल थ्रू। तो सिद्धांत, व्हाट आई वाज व्हाइल गोइंग थ्रू योर प्रोफाइल आई सॉ कि इससे पहले यू आर अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट एट कास्ट 24 एंड इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग यू आर अ सीनियर डेटा साइंटिस्ट एट सिंपल,
True.
राइट? तो यार थोड़ा सा एक तो पहले ये एक्सप्लेन कर दो कि लाइक व्हाट इज सिंपल एज अ कंपनी, सिंपल क्या करती है, एंड देन एक डेटा साइंटिस्ट क्या करता है एट कंपनीज लाइक सिंपल एंड कास्ट 24।
Simple is a fintech company. It's a buy now pay later company where we sort of give some credit limits, right, to certain users, where they can use those credit limits on certain merchants, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, if you're using Zomato, if you are on Simple, you can use Zomato to pay your Zomato bill. So before that, I was in Cars 24. Cars 24 deals with used cars, right? So they're a platform of used cars. They buy and sell used cars, right? A typical day in a data scientist would certainly look, so the days are very different depending on what stage you are in your project, right? So I would say maybe I can talk about the project journey. Once you are given a business problem, so see, the objective of any data scientist is to solve the business problem so that you can provide some useful insights to business so that they can take some actions, right? Certain actions. Now it could be anything. It could be maybe when I was in Cars 24, I was working on price prediction. So what should be the price of my used car, right?
Okay.
At what price I can sell the car.
Okay.
Right? Now this was a problem statement given to us by a business. Now we would have certain amount of data, right? Historical data. So we would crunch on that data, we would find patterns, we would analyze that data, right? Then final goal was to, let's say, given certain metrics of the car, I have to predict the price of the car.
Okay.
So I have to explore what kind of models I can use for my prediction, right? So typically, data scientists earlier were not much involved in deployments, right? Where the focus was just on building models, finding patterns. The scenario have changed in last couple of years, right? So I would also like suggest people who are starting out on data science that just not focus on data science concepts. Try to be a full stack developer, right? By full stack, I mean you should have knowledge around building models as well as knowledge around how to ship them in production, right? So the entire life cycle should be in your control, right? That's what companies expect these days.
हम जैसे डेटा साइंटिस्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, यू आर अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट फॉर मोर देन 5 years नाउ, तो बट एक काफी बच्चों का क्वेश्चन रहता है कि डेटा एनालिस्ट एक जॉब रोल होता है, देन देयर इज दिस जॉब रोल कॉल्ड डेटा साइंटिस्ट, तो क्या डिफरेंस होता है, एलिजिबिलिटी में क्या डिफरेंसेस होता है, एंड इज दैट कि यू बिकम अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट आफ्टर अ डेटा एनालिस्ट, एंड देन हाउ कैन यू बिकम वन? तो इफ यू कैन एक्सप्लेन अस दिस.
Okay, I think it's a very big confusion among people कि data analyst to data scientist progression करना चाहिए, or should I just directly move into data scientist, or I even eligible for data scientist? So let's pick up things one by one.
Sure.
See, first let's see the difference between an analyst and a scientist, right? As an analyst, let's first digress it into two things. One is tech stack, what tech stack you are using, and another is your maybe day-to-day role. So in terms of tech stack, things are usually the same, right? you use Python, you use SQL, right? Both as a data scientist and analyst, right? As an analyst, your main focus is to bring insights, right? Build dashboards, right, which the business can use.
Make use of.
As an analyst, you work more closely with business,
Okay.
right? As a data scientist, you work with business, but again, you can work in silo, right? Your
That's
business has given a problem. Yeah. So analysts, I would say, is a subset of scientist, right? So as a data scientist, you have to have the knowledge of an analyst, whatever analyst is doing. On top of that, you need to have certain knowledge around machine learning modeling, then certain knowledge around deployments, right? So these are certain additional things which you need to know. Usually, as a progression, people start with becoming an analyst, right? So analyst wala path is fairly easier than a scientist, right? And then if the interest deepens, then you can go and become a data scientist also.
I believe ये journey जो होता है that you have chosen something for you, then you're learning, and as you told me 2015, 2016, very likely you started learning.
2016 end, yeah.
16 end, right? तो अब the AI अभी जितना AI famous है was not इतना famous, not into the culture, if I can say so. तो जर्नी मस्ट हैव बीन वेरी टफ, क्योंकि इतना आउटराइट जॉब्स भी नहीं पता कि अच्छा यही जॉब होता है, दिस इज द कंपनी, या इतना सैलरी मिल रहा है, तो काफी अप्स एंड डाउन्स आए होंगे। तो लाइक हाउ डिड यू मैनेज स्पेशली योर डाउन्स, कि क्या रहा, क्या कब कब ऐसा लगा कि यार आई मस्ट कम बैक टू द सेफर ऑप्शन, कि डेवलपर बन जाते हैं, पता है सब कुछ कैसे होता है, तो हाउ डिड यू इंश्योर कि मैं हूँ अपने जर्नी पे?
I think once my this 2 months course was over, right, I decided that whatever be the case, right, I would not go into this developer role. I had decided. I mean, that's the decision I took, and that was a brave decision, right? Because people were doing app development, web development around me, right? Some were doing cybersecurity, all those things. So very few people were doing machine learning, right? So in my college itself, there were major and minor projects. So I started doing these projects under the professors who had some experience in machine learning. So the professors guided me a lot in those projects. Let me talk about the internship journey as well, right?
Yeah, sure.
So applying for internship was a big hurdle, because first of all, people asked for experience in machine learning. How can a college guy show experience in machine learning, right? It was very difficult.
Correct.
So that's where these projects came into the picture, right? So that's where I was able to land into an analyst internship than a data scientist internship. Although I would still feel that getting into something related to data was my first priority. I mean, I was not thinking about analyst or scientist. My first priority was, let's go into this domain. Industry में घुसना है, data industry में घुसना है, and then we'll figure out क्या करना है. I mean, LinkedIn was my savior. Then seniors. Then, in fact, I also consulted Coding Ninjas. I took help of Ankush sir also, right? So I applied to various positions, although the positions were very limited. And I mean, I landed into a company which was into data domain, right? So I mean, also very few companies were into data those days, right? Back then. So yeah, so there I got the opportunity to explore what this domain was, right? I remember I would have applied to almost 40-ish companies, and I just got call from like 4 or 5 companies.
Exactly, this is what I also want the students to note, कि अभी क्या होता है ऑफ लेट, हम शुरू करते हैं 6 कंपनी में अप्लाई करा, कोई रिस्पॉन्स आया नहीं, एंड वी फील लाइक गिविंग अप कि यार मेरे को तो कोई हायर ही नहीं कर रहा। बट द थिंग इज कि यू हैव टू अप्लाई इन मास, क्योंकि एट द एंड यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि मुझे तो एक ही कंपनी चाहिए ना।
Exactly.
Students often make this mistake, so I would want you to reiterate ये वाले point पे कि you need to apply in lot of companies so that you at the end of the day you get the job you want.
So it's true that the opportunities were very few back then, right? But see, now also even though the opportunities are way more, but the competition has also increased. Many people are getting into AI. So net things remain same. Now your task is to first honestly do all the things, right? Do your homework, do your study, right? After that, you have to reach out to people. You have to write cold emails. You have to pick companies where you really want to intern or want to get a job, right? Maybe so LinkedIn is a very good platform for that. Maybe reach out to people straight away, asking them for referrals, right? Maybe get in touch with professors, because professors are also in touch with industries these days, right? So I had a friend back then who had got in touch with a professor who helped him to get an internship, right? So this is one good way which I feel. So yeah, I mean, let's be very proactive and not give up too easily, right?
Correct.
That's
So,
what the
yes, please complete.
yeah. So that's what my learning was back then, and I still apply these things, right? Whenever I look out for any job or any opportunity.
And this is exactly what Ankush sir also keeps saying कि आपको 5-10 में अप्लाई करके आपको बैठना नहीं है कि मैंने 10 में अप्लाई कर दिया रिस्पांस नहीं आया तो मेरी जॉब ही नहीं लगेगी. यू हैव टू कीप अप्लाइंग. यू आर नॉट द अलोन जिसको जो जॉब के लिए मार्केट में एवरीबडी इज अप्लाइंग फॉर द जॉब. तो यू हैव टू फाइंड योर वेज, जैसे यू सजेस्टेड कि अच्छा प्रोफेसर से बात करो, बी एक्टिव, टॉक टू पीपल. प्रॉब्ली हो सकता है आपका बैचमेट को कोई रेफरेंस हो, ही कैन हेल्प यू. सो यू हैव टू कीप एक्टिव एंड कीप फाइंडिंग योर वेज. So, like Siddhant, you've been talking, and it's very good to hear that you have very positive things to talk about your experience with coding ninjas. But बहुत generic question है, and I want you to be very honest कि बहुत सारा content free में available है, YouTube पे बहुत कुछ है. तो आपने क्यों paid course choose किया, and what would you suggest कि क्यों लेना चाहिए, अगर लेना चाहिए तो paid course?
I think that's a very valid question, and I think सबके mind में doubt रहता है, right? So the thing is, see, content is everywhere, and I think in this age, content has overflown, right? So YouTube pay you will get a lot of courses and a lot of courses here and there as well, right, on different platforms. But the thing is, see, content is not everything, right? End of the day, if content was everything, everybody would have got the job, the desired jobs. The main and the most important thing is guidance and motivation, right? How you approach certain subject is very important, right? So I think that's where platforms like Coding Ninjas help, right? Now, machine learning, if I would say, somebody could learn machine learning if guided well in maybe 3-4 months. But if you are, if you have dived into the information pool, or I would say sea, you may be stuck for next 2 years, because this is so huge. This subject is so huge, right? So that's because, see, time, we have certain constraints. Time is one of the constraint, right? We cannot go on learning forever. So that's where you need laser focused guidance, and that's where these platforms help. And especially
Right, please.
the way Ankush sir has taught. I mean, in my and I think I was very fortunate to be the part of the first batch of the machine learning. Yeah. So the way he has taught things, right from the scratch, right from a beginner's point of view, right, that gives you certain kind of motivation as well, because there would be certain courses who would not teach everything from basics, and then you would lose motivation and then skip things, right? Yeah.
So if I have to summarize, so you're saying the reason for you कि मेरे को आपको पेड कोर्स लेना या आपने लिया, and why would you suggest is कि इतना सारे कंटेंट में से आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना पड़ेगा कि एग्जैक्टली मुझे क्या चाहिए.
True.
Kind of content plus you must have certain structure to your learning. कि मतलब मैंने चैप्टर 1 करा, फिर ये नहीं चैप्टर 11 करा, फिर चैप्टर 4 पे आ गया मैं. And then apart from consuming content, you need people to guide you.
Correct, because interviews are a whole. I mean, interviews are different.
Correct.
Whatever you have learned, that is fine, because information is not the end goal, right? Getting information is not the end goal. How you can express your information, how you can deliver things, what you can showcase to others is also the important thing which matters, right?
Absolutely, I agree.
तो अगर आपके पास काफी नॉलेज है बट यू कांट शोकेस इट राइट इन अ प्रॉपर मैनर, तो उस नॉलेज का ज्यादा यूजफुल होगा नहीं.
करेक्ट. तो सिद्धार्थ, अभी जैसे सिंस काफी फ्रेश डोमेन था उस टाइम पे, नॉट सो फ्रेश बट कंपैरेटिवली वेरी फ्रेश बैक. तो ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता कि यू स्टार्ट लर्निंग और आपको कभी डाउट या कंफ्यूजन नहीं आ रहा है. तो लाइक व्हाट वाज योर वे टू सॉल्व दोस डाउट्स, या कैसे, किसको अप्रोच करते थे, खुद से कैसे, या क्या करते थे?
So I remember back then when we started learning, there was a community, I mean, within the coding ninjas itself, right, where students used to ask doubts, right, and the doubts were resolved like within an hour or so, either by some other student or by some mentors or even by Ankush sir. So, because on the internet, things were very, I mean, sparse and information was very loose, right? So you would not get what you needed to get, right? So maybe you had very fundamental doubt, but वो internet पे शायद हो ही ना उस time पे, right? That's where the community learning helped. So I think started with community learning, then once the community was built, I also got in touch with certain professors in my college जो मुझे हेल्प करते थे मेरे मे बी फंडामेंटल और टेक्निकल डाउट सॉल्व करने में. देन आई रिमेन इन टच विद अंकुश सर फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. So even after the course, the best thing about coding ninjas was कि even after the course got over, the community was intact. तो अगर कोई डाउट होता था, अगर किसी को कुछ रेफरल चाहिए होता था, और इफ देयर वाज सर्टेन प्रोजेक्ट जो कोई मे बी if let's say if I was building a project and you from some other college was interested, so we could also build it together. So community learning was the, I mean, was the form which we use, and that helped me a lot.
I would like now want you to tell students who are thinking to probably join coding ninjas ki why should they join coding ninjas?
Okay, so see, as I told you earlier as well, that content is everywhere, right? There's no scarcity of content these days, but coding ninjas would make your journey a complete one. So by complete, I mean you would have access to correct information or structured information, right? Then you would have a community where you can learn together, build projects together, right? Maybe also get some referrals from people around that community, right? Because people like us would also be a part of that community where we can come and help, right? Then, so one important thing where I feel that platforms like Coding Ninjas help is, see, when you are starting to learn new things, right? You can be very well be overwhelmed by things, right? तो आपने एक टफ चीज पकड़ लिया है, राइट? अब आपका जो पाथ है अगर वही क्लियर नहीं है, तो यू वुड नेवर रीच योर एंड गोल. योर एंड गोल इज लेट्स से बिकमिंग अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट, राइट? बट आप हमेशा कंफ्यूज हो गए कि शैल आई जस्ट बिकम एन एनालिस्ट, शैल आई, ओके मैंने एक महीना पढ़ लिया, शायद मुझे ये सर्टेन चीजें समझ में नहीं आ रही, शैल आई गो इनटू डेवलपमेंट अगेन, राइट? तो कोडिंग निंजास would give you a fair sort of advice as well. तो अंकुश सर तो बहुत ही क्लियरली चीजें बताते थे. Let's say if somebody is struggling with ML and उसको maybe ऐप डेवलपमेंट में इंटरेस्ट आ गया है, तो he would not pressurize कि नहीं तुम्हें ML ही करना है, right? He would guide you in a manner so that your future would be safeguarded in the best possible manner, right? So I would say that's where coding ninjas has helped me as well, right? At different points in my career.
Good to know that we were of an help for you. And we are very proud and happy for wherever you are right now. And we wish that you reach better places and help much more students as well. So this was all Siddhant had to share it with you. We keep coming with a lot of interesting case studies and stories of successful alumni and successful individuals from the industry. So make sure you follow us, subscribe us on YouTube, and stay tuned for the next video. And we hope that you like this video. Thank you so much.